Alrighty, I believe, yes, we are live. So hello everybody and welcome to our YouTube hangout where we're going to discuss the Onward film. We're going to talk, I don't even have notes in front of me this time.
Shocker.
We're going to talk from the cuff. I see some people here in the comments. I'm going to see if there's a way I can make this a little bigger. I'm a little further away from the monitor, and of course there's not.
That's okay.
Yeah. But we're going to talk all about Onward. Julie went and saw it again today to prep for the conversation, so that way we could get it.
Yes, to prep. That's the only reason I went. No, because it's amazing.
Because we wanted to see it too.
I know.
So we've got some people out there. We've got Liam Lee. Hi, I'm here. What's up, Bob? CQ Tunes. We got Pixar superfan Lara. Hi, how's it going? Christian Knight.
Is that Paulina?
Paulina's definitely there. Loved it. Well, what about you guys? CQ Tunes, yeah. Oh, see? Look at this. I now got it set up that I can just click it. And we've got another one here. Will it automatically go away, or can I can just quickly remove it here? So welcome everybody. There's Paulina. We have a special guest that's going to be joining us today, as usual, when we're going to be discussing this movie. And typically, when we do these, we have, maybe Dan the Pixar fan or Giovanni, our good friend as well. But this time, we have a new friend that we made. So recently, there was
she's been our friend for a while, but we finally met her
in person.
Yes,
in person. I
Right.
should clarify. Yes. So. So at the charity screening event, which took place not too long ago in the Michigan area. Yeah, last weekend.
Not this past weekend, but like 10 days ago.
We're a mess. We're a mess. So that at that event, we bumped into a longtime viewer of these streams, as well as we've chatted with her on Twitter and other things. So I'm going to switch over to this camera real quick so we can introduce Sydney. So hello, Sydney.
Hi, guys.
Yeah. So this is really exciting. This is the first time that we've had you on. I'm going to try to get fancy here and maybe do look at that, a split screen. We'll have to get closer now.
It's funny, I'm watching the live stream and it's not caught up yet, so I'm like, I don't know if I'm even there.
Yes, yeah, you might as well just close that out because that'll mess with you.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But for everybody in the chat as well, we're going to be obviously taking your comments, your questions that you have about Onward. So thank you for saying that you're in the chat and ready to go as well.
But we are going to be talking about spoilers.
Oh, that's a good point. Thank you.
If you haven't seen this movie,
that's a good point.
Sydney, I know you've beat me. You've seen the film 5 times.
Yes.
I've seen it 4.5 because I saw half of it at the studio. So you've got me beat.
Yeah.
So
what
far.
the heck?
There, though.
Whoa, I'm blocking the table. I'm trying to get closer.
But yeah, so we're going to talk about spoilers. So if you haven't seen it, please turn this off. We don't want to spoil it for you because it's amazing.
Yeah.
We don't want to have it spoiled.
Right. Yeah, we definitely don't. So I guess and let us know if there's any technical difficulties in the chat as well, if you can't hear one of us or something else comes up along the way. But I guess the first thing I want to know from everybody in the chat, you can let us know in there too, if you're going to do this on a 1 to 10 scale, what would you give Onward? And so while some of those are populating in the chat and while we're catching up, we'll jump over to our new guest first and say, Sydney, what did you think of Onward if you were to say on a 1 to 10?
Oh my gosh. Man, and I'm looking through my notes right now. I didn't even take a 1 to 10 scale. It is in my top 5 favorite Pixar movies now, I will say.
All right.
So I will give it a 9.5.
Okay. All right. I like it off the cuff. All right.
It's a bold statement, but I can explain further. But I want to hear your guys' opinion.
Yeah. So we had one come through on the chat as well. So Sadie Productions said, Sadie SATI Productions said 10. So we got a couple that are coming in as well. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, Julie, what do you think?
I have to agree with you, Sydney. I mean, I said 9.5, 10. I had one tiny criticism of the film, which we'll get to. It's so minimal. It's
And yours is different than mine.
Yes.
Like your little like tweak thing.
Yeah.
And so we'll get to that. Yours is. We'll get to that.
Yeah, but I mean, we'll talk about like why I think I'm rating it so high, but that story is flawless in my opinion.
It's
it is a tight story it doesn't skip a beat. I mean, like
Correct.
it literally flows the entire time. It's like amazing.
She's taking notes as we're talking. She's like, ding.
I know. I'm just making some little notes that I want to make sure I bring up.
It's such like an action-packed. There's so much in the film in the way that they fit everything in the storyline without it seeming too much, and like how they discuss like the dad's socks and everything, and like the splinter, like, you know, just everything. I know I'm kind of going all over the place. It's just
no, it's good.
It's a tight story.
Yeah, so I think I'll say Lara gave it a 10. That's interesting. That's good. I'm glad to see that there's some really good remarks here. Obviously, if people are watching this, they're probably Pixar super fans, much like Lara is.
I hate rating them.
It is hard because you're thinking of...
I agree.
Yeah, it's tough because you're like trying to put it against itself, yet against the others.
Yeah.
So it seems unfair at times, but
because my top always change.
Yeah.
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 But
yours definitely do.
But what did I say as soon as we left the movie though?
I don't remember.
I was like, this is my favorite.
Oh, yeah. She says that, and I told her, I go, you say that every time we get out of the theater after we see one of these.
It's so good.
Oh, it absolutely is great. So we've got CQ Tunes that said a 7.5. A couple other people that are mentioning different numbers here as well. My favorite since Toy Story 3, actually. Okay. Toy Story...
That's an interesting point.
Yeah, I like that. So that's Toy Story 3 in real life, so welcome, guys. I'll say it's probably a 9 for me. I'll leave it at that for now until we get into the specifics of it all. But Can
I have some water? I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, no problem. That's what we're here for, supporting the Detroit Zoo and their reusable bottles. Let's all take a water break.
Yeah.
Julie leans off. I'll just do it right on screen.
I know.
All right.
Give the fans what they want.
Yeah. That's right. It's water?
Yeah.
Okay, I think it's probably safe to say, like, we usually break these down where we talk about, like, the characters, the story, the Easter eggs, because we're going to talk about some of those.
Yep.
We'll talk about, like, the humor of it. So you want to start with the characters?
Yes.
Okay, so we obviously already knew a lot about Laurel, Ian, and Barley. Since they're kind of the main family unit, let's talk about them first. And I think, we don't need to probably go too deep into them just since we already knew them, but was there anything that you were surprised about, and we'll start here with you, Julie, if there's anything that you were surprised about when you saw it or afterwards, or anything that you were like, wow, I either liked that stood out, this element, that element?
I mean, nothing that, like, character-wise, like the look of the characters, or...
Just how they acted, how the vocal actors were, the animation.
Amazing. Oh, I mean, you and I have talked... Oh, the design was amazing.
Yeah.
First off, the
100%.
casting was incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
And it's funny because when you hear... Like, when I watch A Bug's Life... and I hear Julia Louis-Dreyfus, all I think of is Elaine Bennis for some reason from Seinfeld.
Right.
Yes.
I wasn't even thinking.
You're saying in this movie,
in Onward,
it's separated enough that you didn't make it her.
No, and I didn't hear Spider-Man, and I didn't hear who is he? Who's Chris Pratt in the Avenger or in the Guardians?
Star-Lord.
Yeah. So I didn't hear any. I didn't hear the actors. Like, I heard them as the character, like, I heard the characters speaking.
Which is super cool because a lot of times, you worry, like, am I going to see this actor? But yeah, yet again, it wasn't an issue. I mean, did that stand out to you at all, Sydney?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely thought, especially Ian, I didn't hear Spider-Man once. And I was, like, so impressed with Tom Holland's voice acting because it sounded, yes, like Spider-Man, but it never once took me from the plot.
No, he has such sincerity in his voice.
Yeah, it's so well written that, like, that is Ian. That is not Spider-Man. That is not anyone else. That is Ian.
Yeah. And just like the like the taken aback like noises that he makes was like, oh my gosh.
Yes.
I even wrote down the part where he's like inviting them to a party and he goes, that's the one, like where he's like all like, tucked up.
Oh, I loved that he had like his thumbs under, and you know the character details of the character details of him being like extra dorky or like nervous, kind of like shy. Where he at first I was like, is he really? Because that's like one of the first times you see him up close.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is he really just like a dewy character? I'm like, oh no, he's sweating because he's so nervous. And I love that like you could see like the glistening in his hand, and that's like all those details are so cool. I mentioned that actually today in the post that I wrote about that it was just like, it's so cool that like they put all those little details in there. And you're right, I wrote down the animation of him, like how he kind of hops up on the tips of his toes and he's like, well, and then like you said with this, like it was so good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I definitely think like if I'm going to talk about like between Ian or Barley, I'm surprised. I thought I might have liked Barley's vocal acting a little better, but I like Ian's. After I saw it, I was like, Tom Holland nailed it.
Yes.
There were definitely a couple parts, and sorry, this is like a little bit of a Debbie Downer, but
you're good.
with Barley's character, there were some parts where I did hear Chris Pratt, especially, and I think some of it was the writing too. This is spoiler, but
yeah, you're fine. We already gave the warning.
When he talks about his dad being hooked up to like all the things, I was like, I feel the Guardians of the Galaxy a little bit here.
Okay.
And also at the end when he calls out to Ian, he's like, wait, like we just gotta keep looking. Like the way he said looking, like that pulled me from the plot, and I don't know why. I was like, that was Chris Pratt, that wasn't Barley.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I like that insight because I didn't think about it. I paid almost all my attention to Tom Holland's performance. And every time, like I'm not even kidding, every time he spoke, and I'm glad you brought that up though, Sydney, because really it makes me think about it a little more, which I needed to. But every time I would hear Tom Holland speak, I was literally like, oh my gosh. Like when he was like really yelling like, Olaf Delavar! Like you could feel it he was with his heart's fire.
Yeah.
Exactly,
that's what Leo keeps running around saying all day today since we saw it again.
Yeah.
Well, that's right, because he's got the staff, doesn't he?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Awesome.
Yes.
But one of my favorite lines though, and it's so silly, it came from Chris Pratt, came from Barley.
Okay.
It's when their mom, Laurel's, kicks the little Quest of Your character into his room, and he goes, "Sorry, Mom."
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
It just
was
felt,
a good one.
it felt so real to me.
Yeah.
Like that, just that character would act like that.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
To me, it like sold it so, like just that's who he was. He was just kind of like, whatever.
Right.
I kind of feel like I'm Barley sometimes.
Why? Because it's a little more free-spirited?
Yes, and I'm more laid back than you.
That's true.
You're more anxious like Ian.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I'm just moving around some of the comments. But what were you going to say?
I have to ask, do you guys have a favorite quote from the movie, since you brought up your favorite from Barley?
Ooh, you do?
Well, so I don't know if I have a favorite quote. I honestly am going to go back to the one thing that keeps resonating in my head over and over and over again is the passion when he says no, when he says Aloft Elevar, when he's doing the spells. It's, to me, those moments, like, I feel them in my heart. Like, I feel like that performance more than anything else. But do you already have one fired up? But I know Sydney has one.
I want to hear what yours is.
Yes.
I don't have one.
I have two. It's one of my favorite Pixar quotes of all time now. Is put it in O for Onward. Oh. I just love that. And also how it works with the title. I wrote it down. I was like, one of my new favorite Pixar lines.
That's awesome.
I love that. And then I love when Barley says, believe with every step. I think that's awesome.
Yes. I think one of the things from Barley that upon second viewing, and I think everybody should see it at least more than once, because you pick up all those little things once you know the ending, is because you know where Barley is going when he says, like, that was a good try. or like when he's like trying in the van to do the spells, and he's like, it's not Tom Holland. Ian is giving up, and Barley's like, it was a good try.
It was a good start.
Right, and then it was a good start.
Yeah.
Thank you. You have seen it one extra time than me. And then like with the bridge Bridgergar and Vizia, when he's doing that whole scene, he's like, you can do this. Like, it's just like seeing it the second time, it gave me the extra insights into those lines.
Do you know what's interesting here? I don't know if you two have picked it up, but all of these lines are spoken by Chris Pratt.
That's true.
Yep.
Interesting. But yeah, it was like Ian that like caused you guys the most like emotions.
Right.
Me too, but I'm just saying it's just interesting.
Right. Okay, so I'm going to put this one up here too, because I thought this is so. Ian says, "You'll never be ready." Yeah. Merge.
Merge. Oh my gosh! And then when he goes in the high pitched voice, "It's your pocket."
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was a good delivery.
Oh no, this is your favorite. Who you calling whimsical?
Oh, you're right. That is my favorite line.
We keep saying that.
My favorite line is
or you'll see me in your nightmares.
Oh yeah. Oh, say it again, and you'll see me in your nightmares. I love.
What did you say about my ancestors?
Oh yeah. Oh, who you calling whimsical is definitely my top one. I'm glad you brought it up because
I'm like, I know we've been quoting this movie.
Yes, who you calling whimsical?
Oh,
they're strong. What was this part? Oh, they're strong.
Oh, the sprites.
Yes, where he goes, they can't lift those motorcycles.
Oh, they're strong. Yeah, yep. See, it's good. And nice call out on Chris Pratt to get he was the comedic character that gave all those awesome one-liners.
Yeah. So
it worked out. Okay, so we've spent a lot of time on that, but if you guys have other lines, feel free to put them out there. So we've got Laura mentioning, I really love how "believe with every step" was written on the crew gift that was given out. Yes. So the crew gift that was given out were pairs of Converse shoes. So they had an Ian and a Barley pair.
I would give so much money for those Ian ones.
I know, they're so cool.
Oh my gosh.
My college tuition right there.
Oh, don't go that far.
Yeah.
That's fair. Dan, you didn't hear that.
I
know. Okay, so we talked about like the character, like the initial characters. How about some of the sub characters? And definitely, if you guys in the chat have other favorite lines, or even if you want to start throwing in who your favorite characters are, I'll start popping some of them up as we're chatting as well. But yeah, so let's go beyond the initial Ian, Barley, and Laurel at this point. What do we think about maybe the Manticore? Wait, where were you going?
Oh, she's excited.
Can we talk about the Manticore's mascot?
So yes, we'll pair this into the Manticore in general. Great comedy there too, with the
and when he runs into the stool when he sees just the legs.
He talked about that today.
I said the animation on that where the mascot careens off of the podium. Off. Oh yeah, that is.
Who worked on that scene? Kat Hicks worked on that scene. She is fantastic.
I know she did a lot with the Manticore itself, but did she do the mascot as well? I
think she mentioned that she worked on part of the tavern scene. I'm not sure if it was that one specifically. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. For sure, you probably know that more than I do.
No.
Yeah,
Either way, her animation on the Manticore is awesome.
Yes, so she got cast. She's a little typecast at this point, not in a bad way, and she loves it too, as far as like, because she did a lot of Pepita with Coco, so she's any big like cat with the big paws and all that kind of stuff. So yes, she definitely gets thrown in there as well. We've got another favorite that I wanted to kind of throw in here too. We've got Blazy. And then there's Starlin said the same thing with Blazy as well. So yeah, that's awesome. Okay. So other sub characters, and we've got a Kat Hicks is awesome. Yes, she is.
She is fantastic.
Yes.
No, but Blazy's animation too. I would love to know what the reference footage was for Blazy as a character. Like, was it a snake or like? Because some of those movements of where Laurel goes, "Oh, this dragon is always under my feet."
Yes.
Like those snake-like movements.
He was very slithery there.
I wonder if it's an eel. Like an eel in the water. That's kind of what it reminded me of.
That's interesting. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different things that it could have been, but you're right. It was great animation, and I loved seeing it. So if you haven't seen it in like a high resolution or an IMAX or something like that as well, you should totally do that too, because the scales and the shininess of Blazy show up way better on like really good cinemas. So if you've got
that
like
is so true.
Yes, like the first time I saw it, I was like, wow, this is cool. The second time I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even notice all these fine details on Blazy, on the Manticore, on everything.
Did you see it in the Epic Experience? Is that the one you saw it at? On Theater 8 in Troy?
No. So, you're talking about the first time?
Or when you went to the MJR in Troy, what screen did you see it on? Do you know?
Oh, well, you saw it at MJR in Troy. I didn't see it in MJR in Troy.
It was just a regular theater.
Oh, so the tickets that you guys gave away, they were for the Epic Experience.
Yes.
Like the huge, yeah. That scene in there, fantastic.
Well, I'm glad, yes, and Sydney was able to take advantage of our ticket giveaway as well, because we gave away like up to 40 tickets.
It was funny. Sorry, I just totally interrupted you.
Totally fine.
One of the tickets you gave away, when I was exchanging this sweatshirt, some guy at the Disney store was like, yeah, I'm seeing it Tuesday. I was like, oh, me too. And he was like, yeah, this guy TJ came into the store and gave me tickets. And I was like, I know him. That's how I'm going to. It's funny. He's the one who actually took that picture of me and my family. So.
Oh, cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for our friendship.
Yeah. Yeah, we bumped into him at the store as well. And I was like, you can try to get these tickets too when it goes live. So pretty cool. Okay, so I'll just put this one out there. Yeah, this is another one. Anything with the Pixies, you got a problem, Shades.
Yeah.
Anything with the Pixies is great. They got the triple dent gum in their hand right before they say that. Where were we, though, as far as the...
Just the other characters, sub-characters.
Yeah, okay, so I saw somebody... So I believe Aiden mentioned Colt Bronco, which he's a fantastic character. I honestly did not think I was going to like him as much.
Same.
I have thoughts about Colt Bronco, but I want to hear the rest of yours.
Okay, yeah. Yep, so I think it was one of those things that, like, when he was coming in to the house originally, great animation, great humor of him bumping into everything. Mm-hmm. I thought he might have just been a complete goof, but I like the fact that he kind of developed a little bit, that especially at the end he gets redeemed where he gets to take his hair down and run and all those kind of things. But I just thought, and part of the reason I like him more is the scene where they're playing him, like where Ian and Barley are in him, and I know that's not really him, but the vocal actor is
not
still
only the vocal
voice acting,
but the camera work and the play. That has never been to me. I can't think of another Pixar scene that seems that complex. That seems like a very editing. So
editing, yes. So definitely from an editing standpoint, we're going to totally sidebar. But yes, that scene where Ian and Barley pretend to be Colt Bronco, the disguise spell. And they walk, first off, so great that they're on gravel, so that way that leads to the footsteps.
The story is amazing.
Yes, it's so well thought out. So well thought out. But from an editing standpoint, the thing I think is award-worthy in that scene for sure, is the fact that you have three faces of characters basically lined up at the same time. You've got like Barley, Ian, and Colt all in a row. And as they're talking, it's flipping as the camera rotates slightly. It's flipping between being Ian's voice or Colt's voice or whatever. If you watch that scene again and critically listen to it...
I did today.
It is insane how seamlessly it switches between those, and it feels so natural. That could have easily been a disaster in the editing room. And they nailed it. Holy
literally cow. Spot on.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
I made a note of it too. I literally I said, who edited that?
Yeah. Yeah, her last name's Apple, isn't it?
Catherine Apple.
Catherine Apple.
There
you go. Yep. What a job. And I'm sure that I hope that's like a special feature, because I want to see how that was boarded, because it can't be the same how it was boarded as how it was like in the end result. You just don't have that dynamic movement as much. So what a difference it made going into the live environment.
Yeah.
So good.
Fun fact, Catherine Apple studied in the UP. So she's from around the neck of the woods.
Really? I didn't know that. God, there's
Dan and I were talking at the screening that Sunday, and he was like, yeah, so, like, he studied in Ohio. He was like, she's from the UP. Like, we are all from the West Coast, just out there at Pixar. And I was like, oh.
Kelsey Mann's from here, too.
Yeah, Kelsey Mann's from Michigan.
Yes, that is true.
It's wild.
Okay, but...
Yes, Colt.
He is my least favorite character in the whole film.
Okay.
Oh.
So talk to us about why. And I want to hear what other people say in the chat too. Where do you put Colt in terms of this? Do you like him? Do you not? What did you like? What didn't you like?
So it was funny. The first time I saw it, I was like, this character's hilarious. And the more I've seen it, the more I dislike him. And not because of, like, the character. Like, that's just how the character is supposed to be. I feel like I'm not supposed to like him. And I don't know why I feel that way. But just, like, coming from that perspective of, he's, like, the stepdad, like, it kind of reminds me of those Progressive commercials where he's, like, how about you eat some carrots? And the kid's like, you're not my dad. Like, it just feels, it doesn't feel forced. Like, it feels normal. Like, it's a great character for the movie, but I just, like, I don't like him. I feel like he's just doing, like, using his authority for Laurel and Laurel only, not because he actually wants to, like, get the kids.
And I think that's actually probably true to a character, because he keeps, like, he tears off his Bluetooth and he's like, those darn kids. And I think if you are, like, in a relationship, potentially an earlier relationship, you might go out of your way to appease that person and try to help them, you know, smooth out a scenario a little more. But you're right, he definitely uses his authority to do that, which is, in a way, you know, in terms of, like, from a character standpoint, it could be annoying to the quest. And it is funny because I didn't love that character until that scene where it's not really supposed to be him, where they're disguising him.
Yeah.
But because I know it's Mel Rodriguez doing the vocal acting and somebody is still animating that character, that scene to me, I mean, I was, blown away by the editing. I was blown away by the idea of it in the first place. But it was also just the subtleties in his voice and how broken down he seemed and felt. And I know it was really Ian at that point. So maybe I just am, like, projecting, like they were projecting. But I can see how you say that, and that's what's cool about, you know, these discussions, is everybody has a different opinion about it. But the thing is, if you think about it, although this movie feels so big, it's not a very big cast. It's a pretty tight cast of characters.
Right.
So there's not a ton that you're bouncing in between.
Right.
So, were you going to say anything else about Colt or anything?
Nope.
All right, Pixies.
Well, my favorite, that's your favorite sub-character, the Pixies. What did you say before?
Yeah, I love the Pixies.
Okay. Mine is Wilden, the dad.
Oh, what? How do you...
Really?
Oh, you mean just as far as from the legs?
Not even just the legs.
Yeah.
Like, literally, like, the photographs, the voice on the cassette. Like, how heartbreaking.
Oh.
Like, when Ian starts talking, like he's talking to his dad.
Oh, it hurts.
I mean, literally... I was crying.
Yeah.
Like, it just was heartbreaking how he was just trying to, like, talk to his dad.
Right.
And then seeing his dad and only hearing the laugh.
Oh, yeah.
Because that was one of the 4 things now, is a goofy laugh. Scratchy beard, goofy laugh.
Right.
On his feet, and then the hospital.
And I saw, Sydney, you asked Dan the question about that, right? So you had asked him a question on Twitter about, were those made for the story, or were they actually, like, real things that Bill, Dan's brother, remembers about his dad? And so he had replied, I'll let you tell it since he replied to you.
I mean, yeah, he just replied that wasn't, like, an actual memory that Bill had. The scratchy beard was, Bill responded.
Right.
But that was all done in storyboarding, which, what a clever way to have Barley automatically connect to him. Like, it didn't take long. It was perfect.
Yes. And that's another thing that we're talking about with the story being so seamless, is everything had a purpose.
Yes, they said the story about the socks, and then you got this, and nothing felt forced. Nothing felt like, well, that's out of place. Why are you saying that?
Right.
And then, like, that's how they were able to say, oh, like, talk with their dad.
And it's so funny, too, when he's, like, shrunk, and his, like, foot comes up, and he's like, it's still me.
Yeah,
right.
Even when he's so little, so that he understands, like, oh, like, a spell was messed up. And he falls backwards, like, on the beat.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. I do, like, as far as, like, Wilden, I do like I mean, I know Dan Scanlon, the director, wore, like, the green outfit and wore the pants to do some of the reference. But
because that was, like, one of my big questions. It's like, where is the footage of that? Because trying to stand up
without
like,
using your arms.
Yeah. Just, like, to animate that. Like, wow, what reference. I mean, it's kind of hard and awkward and kind of, like, just walking around with, like, just loose, it's just interesting.
Yeah. I mean,
you gotta have a strong core to do that.
I know. I'm, like, leaning to the side, pushing up. So the one thing, I'll go back to Colt. So I'm seeing, I'm having to lean in. I need a bigger screen here. I felt Colt was a key character that glued the two storylines together. It was. I mean, he definitely was essential to bring together, and he was the connector thread of the cell phone connections to keep the mom and the kid's side of the story connected. Because then he saw the bumper from Guinevere, which, by the way, great that it fell off, so he knew where to go.
Yeah. Of course it fell off.
Yes, of course it did. Well, and they had it fall off earlier in the movie, the front bumper, though, where he tied it back on, so you knew they were loose. Everything had
and it did.
a purpose.
And Onward had an amazing bounce back and forth. What's the mom and the Manicore doing? What's Colt doing? Whereas, remember in The Good Dinosaur, that was our big thing. We never got to see the family.
The story was too linear, and it didn't bounce between back and forth. That was what we always said was the issue there.
Do you mind if I bring up a point, since we're referencing The Good Dinosaur?
Please.
Yes.
I wrote down, I have 5 main points. We've covered, like, 3 of them.
I love it.
But one of the big points I brought up was the color. And I said the film takes on a beast that, in my opinion, was lacking in The Good Dinosaur, where they put cartoon-esque characters in what passes as, like, a semi-realistic background. Like, when they're trudging through on the quest, like, the mountains and stuff, that kind of passes as, like, a realistic scene that you could see. In The Good Dinosaur, they do it, too. But in this one, they added... I could be wrong, but it looks like they added lighting from a different angle to make it seem like the characters' shadows were more realistic than they were in The Good Dinosaur. I think it just, like, ties itself together. And also in the sunset scene with the purple highlights as well, just make it feel like it fits well. I feel like in The Good Dinosaur they had some, like, sunsetting scenes where, like, the background looked really realistic, and then this, like, little Arlo animated character ran in, and you're like, oh, I'm in a cartoon still. Like, yeah,
that was something that didn't actually, like, as far as, like, the contrast of the world and the characters was something that didn't bother me. That was always, to me, it was always just the story. It was too linear. The mom, I wanted to know that she was concerned. I wanted to know. But that's definitely something that a lot of people have said, as far as that it was too realistic against too cartoonish. And you're right, this was definitely more in sync as far as the two different worlds coming together. And it's interesting that you say that too about the lighting and everything, because Sharon Callahan was the lighting lead on both of the films as far as the production. So it's interesting how those two things kind of came together and how different films can be, even with the same, some of the same folks involved.
Yeah. And I think it's awesome too. Like, if you look at The Good Dinosaur, I feel like that was a huge stepping stone for Pixar to do really well with skies.
Definitely. They came out with their volumetric cloud system and all that at that time. Yeah.
Yeah. And the skies in Onward are just, like, fantastic. Like, that opening scene where, like, long ago the world was full of wonder, and it, like, swoops in, and, like, then it pulls itself back up, and then you can see, like, the contrast of the fireworks in the sky in the background. It's just gorgeous. It's an awesome scene to watch, and the camera angles and, like, movements are just like beyond anything I've ever seen in a Pixar movie, I think.
Yeah, well, they were definitely much more majestic and flowing in their movements for sure. I like at part of it, and I can't remember if I said this to you or if I was just thinking it, but I was like, am I watching Soarin' right now? Like,
yes, you told me.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I thought. Or like Avatar's Flight of Passage. I don't know if you guys have done that.
Oh, yeah.
She has. I'm not.
He doesn't do thrill rides. I go by myself and make friends. I make friends in line.
That's exactly what I thought of. That opening scene where like swoops down. I was like, holy cow, that's that waterfall scene in Flight of Passage where it's just like, or Soarin' even.
Yeah.
Like,
It's so, and Scott, you're not late. He said, oh man, I'm late. You're not too late.
We're just getting started.
Yeah. This is hour 1 of 4.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I didn't even mention this to you. And
Yes.
I know I had brought this up to Dan when I was out for the Monsters University press event. Where
Monsters University event?
Yeah.
A couple years back.
6 years ago.
Okay.
All right.
Where I talked about the concrete in Monsters University.
Yeah.
The freaking concrete and streets
Yes.
in Onward were amazing. Now, okay, we're from Detroit, so the roads aren't great, you know.
Praise
But
the puddles.
the tar like ribbing,
Yes.
where they kind of like where Ian is like learning to drive, he's like, oh yeah, he volunteered first, and you can see that the concrete's kind of patched together with that ribbing line of concrete and like the tar and stuff. I don't know, it's just like a detail, and it just stuck out to me, and I liked it. Apparently I like concrete.
Yes.
Talking about the animation and like in terms of the roads and stuff, the scene where they're like, it's before your favorite scene, the Colt scene, where they're like swerving as Barley's getting bigger and the cop comes out. I was like, that is just like a zoomed out version of Cars, where he's like stuck in the wires and then
right.
Yeah, I was like, they literally just like copied and pasted, not literally, but like it looks like they like took that exact same animation and just like zoomed out and just made it better.
Oh man, speaking of Cars,
Yes.
not the film.
And then I'm going to go back as I'm dripping water here. I'm going to go back. I'm going to put this up for a second. You guys can look at this. But Aiden's comment. Yeah. So on the topic, we'll get back to Michael and Jeff Dana because I want to talk about that.
Okay, but the camera work on the Cars when the three of them were stuck and Guinevere is like just in that like dead end zone and the camera is attached to the police cars.
Yes.
Wow.
Well, so that's actually a scene.
I know it's
what?
It's called something.
Oh,
isn't that?
Well, they do that with like a lot of like those rally races.
I don't know,
stuff.
but the music attached to that and everything, I just loved it.
Yeah. So the Radiator Springs 500 and a half. Mm-hmm. In that short, they do that a lot with the side. It was
only
angle.
like 2 or 3 shots.
Correct.
And I loved it.
But it was fantastic. Yes.
That whole scene right there, that whole scene with Guinevere and everything, I love it.
Yes.
But right after Guinevere's demise, though, it comes my only critique of the film.
So you're going to go back to Colt.
Yes.
Okay, go for it. So this is Julie's critique.
This is my only criticism that I have. So Guinevere, sadly, gets crushed.
Sacrificed.
Yes, sacrificed. And Colt kind of climbs up out of the rubble, like onto the rocks, and he sees the 2 Lightfoot brothers and their dad walking across the field, and he kind of is like, ooh, and he kind of grimaces like this, but he kind of has like an evil laugh. My first viewing, full viewing, when I watched it, I kept waiting for Colt to see, oh, he's going to stop them. He's going to stop them. And the next time you see Colt, he's like comforting Laurel. Right. And it's a loving scene. And I was like, well, that didn't.
So yes, it was a little bit of like
I had like a disconnect with him there. Right. Now I've seen it 4 times now, so it doesn't bother me. But when my first full viewing, I kept thinking that he's going to show up. So I just didn't like. I wish that he would have just been like, ugh, like it had a different face.
Got it.
Like his face.
I agree with that, and I think it goes back to the point of him using his authority to an extent of this is how far I'm going to go for Laurel.
But it seemed kind of not evil, but just like,
well, okay, but
I'm going to get him.
Let's put this into perspective a little bit at the same time. He's a police officer. He is used to, as a character, a certain level of respect and authority that you can get. Now, granted, you're not supposed to, just have that. You're supposed to earn it a little bit, but you earn it a little bit wearing the uniform. Right before that scene, Ian, the kid that he thinks is the good kid, just defied him. So he's gonna be a little ticked.
Yeah. I don't know. It was a small, like, literally. That's my tiniest thing. Because I kept thinking that he was going to try to ruin it for them.
Right. So, and I'm gonna, I really don't want to say this, but my part comedically that I didn't like, I'm remembering, was also related to Colt as well.
However, the theater roared with laughter when it happened today.
Are you kidding?
No. And it's the first time that they've in a theater that they've ever laughed. I mean, roared.
Wow.
And this is our fourth viewing.
Okay, so the part where we should set it up first.
Say it, yeah.
We know what we're talking about. Yeah. So it's where Colt says, "I'm gonna give you to the count of 3," and then it's like the record scratch stop, and then clap, clap, clap with his hoof on the ground. To me, that joke didn't read. That's the only thing that I didn't laugh at. I felt like it was too, like, unnatural, and I know they used it in the trailers, so it must have done well in tests and everything like that too. But for some reason, for me, and I'm not saying it's for everybody, but for me, that didn't hit.
Yeah.
I didn't even chuckle at it. But there's so many parts that I did that,
Yeah, but today roared with laughter.
That's surprising. And that was the other thing that I was kind of bummed about with it, is I was like, I don't ever hear anybody laughing at it. But that's good that they did today when you saw it.
Yep.
The other times you've seen it, or anybody in the chat too, how did that joke resonate on your viewings?
Yeah, so I agree with TJ on this one. I didn't think it was all that funny. I think it worked well in the trailers, for sure.
Yes.
But in the movie, I thought they were going to change it, honestly, when I saw the trailers. I was like, I don't think they're going to, like, set it up in that format. I thought they'd do it a little bit differently.
Right.
But when I've seen it, I saw it, the first time I saw it was at the screening, obviously.
You're right.
And his family chuckled at it.
Right.
It was it kind of felt like you had to laugh at it.
Right.
And then I saw it with my best friend's little brother and a kid I babysit, and they just cracked up. They were like 14 and 11 years old, and they thought it was the funniest thing.
I guess it is. It's one of those, like...
It's hit or miss, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's just personal for each person. And it could be an age thing, too. I mean, I'm 18, and they're, 14 and 11.
Right.
But, I mean, there were a lot of people in the crowd that I think laughed at it. They were probably, my age, college age, or up. So,
yeah.
I don't know. I think it's hit or miss.
Yeah, so Scott in the chat was saying it didn't really connect with him, didn't register with Falling with Style. But again, it was a hit or miss among the group, but it just didn't hit with me. So, that's what we talk about these for, is it's some of the stuff that worked for us, some of the stuff that didn't. But let's go back to the Dana brothers, because, wow, Jeff Dana and Michael Dana did the score for this. And this is the first time.
So beautiful.
This is the first time that I will say I am officially, like, in love with them.
Yes.
Because
you have been listening to this soundtrack nonstop.
Yes. Now I had my criticisms about the Good Dinosaur soundtrack.
You did.
Because of the saxophone specifically. If anybody has watched these hangouts, I for some reason found, and again it's me.
You found it distracting.
I found it extremely distracting. This score. And it's what Aiden mentioned before with the choir really added so much to the fantasy element of this film.
Yes.
And it took the weight of it, the emotion of it, it took the darkness of it way down in terms of like a Pixar movie. And I don't mean down in a bad way. I mean down to the depths of darkness. And it really helped sell the heaviness of the story. Mm-hmm. I loved it.
Yeah.
Especially during the gelatinous cube when it falls.
Yes. Yeah.
So good.
Everything about
this
it. Yeah, I love the whole score.
I think especially, it had to be spot on because they had a whole scene that revolved around the music exclusively when the dad dances. That's a huge pickup scene where it reunites the brothers.
Yes.
I want to know what was going on and the room when they were like, this is what needs to be done, make it happen. And they just totally nailed it.
Yeah, they absolutely did. That scene specifically, not only the music, and I was pleasantly surprised too. I didn't know on the first viewing that the Dana brothers did those rock elements as well. And they transitioned so well from the rock elements back to the smoothness of the we're getting back to reality now. The score is getting a little heavier again. Mm-hmm. Like that to me, like it was so good that they were able to do those rock elements too. And it wasn't like they subcontracted or pulled reference music from something else. To me, that all added so much more that they were able to do that. But that scene specifically, I loved it too, because it was on the first viewing. What I wrote in my notepad was, this is so cool because this is the first time they're able to do something with their father. And I was like, wow, they're actually connecting with him. And like you said, Sydney, it's also the scene that, brings the brothers closer together too. But it was the first time they were able to do something with the dad. And I was like, wow, that's so cool.
Other than just like be in a car.
They kind of forgot about him. Like they just said he was a terrible dancer. They weren't like, oh, his legs and he doesn't have a top half and all these other things. Like they were just, it was him. Mm-hmm. And that was so cool. By the way, if you guys have not seen these socks, I gotta get some. Everybody needs to get these. I'll stop covering your face. I'm like, it's like right there. So these are by Happy Socks. And
they are seriously so soft too.
They're so cool.
I wore them today at the theater, and Leo has a pair too.
Yes. So we all got a pair, and I'm like so pumped about these. Like the fact that like it's very, and I know this sounds like a total advertisement right now. It's not.
Sponsored by Squarespace.
Yeah. Like every other YouTube video.
Yes.
But
no, that's Honey.
Oh yeah, Honey is also another one, a plug in there.
David Dobrik.
Yeah. But like the fact that it's just subtly says Onward and Happy Socks, the brand. But once you put them on, like just seeing this, it could look like, just seeing this, I'm like over here. Mm-hmm. It could be like a regular sock, but it's just so cool. I love that they did this because it's such a quintessential part of the movie. We put those there because I'm like, okay, I know we did them on social media today, but I don't care. They're the coolest socks ever.
Yeah.
And people need to go get them.
They're awesome.
Yes. So happysocks.com. Check it out. Brought to you by.
Can we talk about some of the Easter eggs?
Yes.
Please. Yes. Okay. So what's the first? Okay. So again, we've already said it a bunch, but if you just came in late, we're going to talk some Easter eggs. We're going to talk about some of those things, so those would be spoilers. Let's talk about the main core group first. So I wrote the post about...
The Holy Trinity.
Yes, the Trinity of A113, the Pixar ball, and the Pizza Planet truck. I wrote the post about it today.
And the upcoming film.
Well, and that's kind of like on the outskirts. I consider that to be like... To me, like, the three are the Trinity.
Okay, got it.
The upcoming is a nice little, like, feature for the next one.
Okay.
But okay, so let's talk about those first. First off, in the chat, did you guys, did you spot these, the main ones that we already mentioned, or were there other ones that you noticed? Let us know if you found them to be easy, hard. I know you didn't hear like the A113 until I had brought it up.
I heard it today.
Yeah. But so we'll start there, alphabetically, A113. Did you catch that on your first viewing?
So I didn't catch any of them on my first viewing. I wasn't even honestly looking for them. I just wanted to experience plot. And that's how I go into every Pixar movie. I just want to take in the plot, don't really look for anything else.
Yep.
But I caught that and the Pizza Planet truck on my second screening.
Okay, so the A113, again, for those that haven't heard it yet or haven't seen our post, is with Colt Bronco at the end, where you hear over the radio where it says, we have a 113 in progress. Not even an A113. We have a 113 in progress. I thought that was super cool.
Genius.
At least that's how At least that's how I remembered it. Like if I'm wrong, anybody can tell me, but I remember it as being we have a 113 in progress.
I heard it. So unless because you talked to me about it, maybe I'm just hearing things. But
yeah, Yeah, I can't remember if it was A113 or if it was A113.
Yeah.
Go see it again, obviously.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go. So let's go to the Pizza Planet truck.
I did not see on my 1.5 viewings. I saw it on my second full viewing.
Yeah. So I saw that one on the second one. I didn't even catch it on the first one. The truck, it's at the Troll Bridge, which again, I still love the fact that the toll bridge is the Troll Bridge, and the troll you can pay with money or you can pay with a riddle.
All these puns.
Oh, it's so good.
And when we spoke to Dan, the director, but that was our morning interview where he kind of, and he just said that like Austin Madison was like the pun king.
Yes, so Austin Madison's a story artist at Pixar. I'm going to throw it out there right now. The dude's going to direct a movie one day.
Oh, for sure. He has to.
But like
he's earned the right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but and I think Kelsey Mann is too, though.
Hey, we're not downgrading others by upgrading others.
And Louise Smythe, and then Maddie, all those.
Yeah. So the Pizza Planet truck is at the toll bridge. It's when they're basically going on the quest for the first time. They're leaving the city of New Mushroomton officially, and they're paying. You can see off to the right-hand side, kind of tucked away, the front of the truck is cut off. Yeah. You can see the Pizza Realm truck.
The Realm.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen the shirt from Box Lunch?
Yes.
Pizza Realm. Oh, need it.
It is, yes, absolutely. And so Aiden has also mentioned, I clicked it twice accidentally. Aiden also mentioned that I saw the Pizza Realm sticker on the cooler in Guinevere. You absolutely did.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So I mentioned that to Dan because when we were talking to Dan Scanlon about it, he was like, I kind of feel like, did we do the Pizza Planet truck an injustice by having it so cut off or so briefly on the screen?
No.
Well, I didn't think so either, but that's what he was saying, and I'm like, but you can see the Pizza Realm sticker in the next shot. He's like, yeah, it's on the cooler in Guinevere, but I think he wanted a little more of it, but ultimately it's it is what it is, and it's not that big a deal. So that was a fun one, and then the Pixar ball. So I cannot believe that in my test screening I wrote it down in my notebook. And I was like, oh, yeah, it's up there. So it's in the Manticore's Tavern. They are...
I did not see it.
It's on a shield, like the center of like the shield or whatever is like the ball risen up or whatever, bulbed out. And I had written that down. I'm like, ooh, Pixar ball. And then Sydney and I are talking, and I'm like, I cannot remember if I saw it. She's like, I didn't see it. You went and saw it again, and then you spotted it.
Yep.
And you were like, you came back and told me, and then I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so stupid. It was in my notes. So
seems about right.
Yeah, but yeah, so you spotted it. So, but it took you a couple tries too.
Oh my gosh, I drove myself up a wall trying to find it, only to realize I had to look up a wall.
Yeah. Hey-o.
Hey-o. Yeah. No. I want that shield in my house on a wall. It's so cool. I love that. I like how they are getting very... Oh, hello!
Oh.
Yeah. Luxo's joining.
I love how...
That's our cat, Luxo.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
No, I love how creative... Now, did you hear your name? I love how creative they're getting with it.
Yeah.
Because that is such a cool way to do it. And man, it took so long for me to find it. It wasn't until my, third or fourth time.
Yeah. I know. And, it's funny. Like I said, I saw it. Then I forgot where it was. Then I saw it again. So it's like, what the heck? All right. It wouldn't be a hangout if it didn't include a visit from a cat.
Hi, Luxo. Oh man, I miss my cat.
So yes. So Scott said, well, here, I'll just put it up here. He said those are some of the most hidden Easter eggs to spot. Toy Story 4 was really obvious. Well, Toy Story 4 was much more obvious, but I think, for me it was. I see Sydney shaking your head no.
The Luxo ball took me 6 times to see it.
Oh.
I saw it the first time on that one, luckily. But
wow.
There was so many of the like the extra ones, I think because that one had so many, they were trying to get in there because they were referencing every prior Pixar film, every short, everything that they were trying to like put it in there. I mean, so I think that they were just trying to be a little more obvious with those.
Right.
Now I will say I saw the Soul one today.
Okay.
And the only reason I saw it is because I knew where to look.
Okay, so let's talk.
Other
so
than
you
that,
explain where that one is then.
You would never know unless you could
Is
freeze frame the shot.
Okay.
Okay, well, I just have a question. Is it the shot where it's Laurel doing the workout? Is it from that side angle?
No.
It's after that.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
it's after that. So it's basically Ian has dropped his I think it's right after he drops his cereal on the carpet.
And Colt is coming over.
No, it's now Barley's walking over and they're kind of like walking near. There's like a little like cabinet, like vestibule thing there. And there's a record player and some records sitting. And they're kind of like propped up like this. Here.
Yes.
Like that.
Yep.
And there's one that's like white, purple, and maybe a little yellow. And that, I think, is it.
Is the Doretha Williams
It is
one.
very hard to kind of see, but I saw the D and I saw the W, and I was like, okay, that's got to be it. But, like, you would never know.
Awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's funny, too, because of how obvious the Toy Story 4 one was for Onward.
Oh, yeah, for that one, yeah.
Okay, sorry. I have breaking news. Breaking news. So when they played the Soul teaser trailer, I think I found an Onward Easter egg
they have
in
an Onward
Soul.
Easter egg in
So you
Soul?
know the guy who's like at like a stockbroker thing, and he just like goes
shoves
like
all
this?
the stuff off.
There is a can that's like a green, like a soda can.
Yeah.
And it has that Q. Like this Q.
The Quest Q?
The Quest one.
It's similar to it. It's like a little different.
Yeah,
but it's that freeze frame. And I'm almost certain, I could be wrong, but I'm almost certain. I was like, oh, I can't wait to tell you. And I just remembered.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Huh.
So.
I think some of the cans, we talked about some of the cans in Onward before, were some of the ones.
Right.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, so here I'll have to pull it up here as well. Hang on a second here.
It literally says Quest.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. So while we're distracting here, what other Easter eggs have you seen?
That's it.
What about said we had the Lucky 7 one?
Oh, did you see it?
I didn't.
The Lucky 7? You talked about it to Dan. You said I saw the Lucky 7 one.
Oh, the pennant thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which that's the.
Where is it?
That's the, it's in the Manticore's Tavern. It's in the screenshot, actually, in our post. The one that you said you were famous in.
Oh, yes. Okay, I'm pulling that up. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. We're all like typing in stuff here at the same time.
Oh my goodness, Luxo is going to jump on that umbrella. Hold on.
Go get her.
Oh, jeez.
Our cat might crash our light.
Oh.
No.
I see it. Wow. I can't believe I missed that. That's good.
All right.
Also, I love the Dragons jersey that was hanging on the wall, or some jersey looked like the school colors jersey on the wall.
Yes.
That's such a tavern thing to do.
Yeah. Okay. Hang on. I've got it up here. Which is it? This can right here, Julie?
Yeah, it's one.
Okay.
The bottle looks like a Gatorade bottle.
So I'm gonna.
Yeah, it's a Gatorade bottle. Yeah, you're right. All I saw was and I was like, oh my gosh.
All right. I'm going to see if I can screenshot this so I can blow it up. And then I'll share that. Sorry for everybody just watching our faces stare at another screen here.
In Onward, they had the Gatorade, but it was spelled like Gatry or something.
Okay.
I don't know, but it was like when they were checking out, he's like, that'll be $12.99.
Yeah, it's on the sign.
bottom.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, I'm going to pull up this screenshot.
I mean, that entire gas station convenience store is amazing. I was talking to Paul Conrad, who is like the big graphic guy on it, and it's just
the big graphic guy.
I was just like, oh my goodness. I'm like, I literally need everything that's in here.
Yes. And I wish that we could see that from the angle like they did in Cars 2, where they're talking about Mater being a screw up. I don't know if you guys remember that scene, but like everything kind of is like vignetted and it's black, and it shows like the rooms almost like from a Webkinz perspective, if you know what that looks like, where it's like you can see the corners of the room. I don't know, but I just want to see the blown up version of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm figuring out how the heck I can share this screen now. This is like, gosh, it's so crazy how everything just changes on me all the time.
Okay, we'll share it later.
Okay.
Let's keep talking, though.
Well, you keep, yeah.
What's our next topic?
John Ratzenberger.
Oh, yes.
John Ratzenberger. There's another Easter egg that's a standard one. So he is the construction worker, and they say his name in the credits. What is it?
I forgot.
It's construction worker something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I made a point to look at it too, and I didn't write it down.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll remember.
No. But yeah, he was obvious. Some movies, like, with Finding Dory, they hit his voice where he's like clipping the grasses or whatever. But this one, it was like right out there. It was very, like, to me, obvious.
Dan Scanlon's voice. Did you hear his voice?
I did.
Sydney?
No.
He is. I heard it and I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's Dan's voice." He is the aerobics instructor that the mom.
The mighty warrior.
You're a mighty warrior.
Oh, that is awesome.
So in the very beginning.
That's awesome.
Yep.
So let's see. What other? I don't.
Okay.
So
go ahead.
The rewatchability value of this. Sorry, this is totally switching gears a little bit, but the rewatchability value of this film is so high for me. Like, Incredibles 2 is a movie I could watch over and over and over again and never get tired of it. And this is right up there with it.
Yes.
Which is why it's one of my favorites. Toy Story 4, I'm not going to lie, was painful to go see over and over and over to try and find a Luxo ball. I just don't think it has as high of a rewatchability value.
Right. Okay, is this showing up at all on your guys' side? Like, do you see it on the actual, like, live playback?
Oh, yes, it is.
Okay, so there you go. So there is the Quest drink that he has there. So that is awesome.
Along with the
Chinese box.
Yeah.
Yes, the takeout box.
Everybody
wants to know that. Hey, wait, did we see it in this one?
No, I still cannot find it.
That's true. Where is it?
It's probably probably the trash unicorns are eating out from it.
That's a good thought. I did not think of that.
Yeah, they could be.
I thought it was in the fridge, but it's not. Along with that scene, the whey protein is hilarious.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I love that. Whey protein, and then the bags were like Heftia instead of like Hefty bags.
I also loved the little like swords that were in the
in his van.
No, in the little Smokies and the pigs in a blanket.
Oh, and the pigs in a blanket, okay. Yeah, for his birthday. Don't touch those, young man. Those are for your birthday party later.
It was awesome because it fit in the world, but did it not give you total flashbacks?
To?
Okay.
Like childhood.
Oh, yes. Okay. All right. I'm thinking of other Pixar movies.
No. Getting getting Shirley Temple, and there was always like 3 cherries speared through it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just felt totally 80s to me. Like
the swashbuckler ones.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was always a sword.
Yeah.
Do they even do that anymore? I mean, probably not because of plastic.
Yeah.
But it was like reminded me of my childhood.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, obviously there's a lot of throwback stuff in this. Dan Scanlon obviously tends to like that stuff because that's what he's familiar with from growing up then. I love it because I grew up then as well. It's still weird to me to think that Dan and I are like almost the same age. Just like, wait, what's happening?
Yeah, that's weird.
Again, we say at every one of these hangouts, what am I doing with my life?
What are you doing? Hanging out with me.
I enjoy where you're at in life.
Well, cool.
Someone's enjoying it.
Well, thanks. What else do we need to talk about with the movie? What are the other?
Oh my gosh. The Quest of Your Game. I cannot wait for that to come out.
Oh my goodness.
So yes, you talk about this. I'm going to catch up on the comments because they got stuck here for a second.
When Dan said that when we were talking that morning and he said that A Quest of Your Game is coming out, I freaked out.
She did.
I mean, like out externally, I was like, oh my goodness. But internally, I was like screaming because when we were driving there that morning, we were talking like, oh my gosh, this has to be a game. Because if you recall, 6 years ago when MU came out, they had some of these scare cards. And we loved them. Like it was awesome. We
wanted to collect
them. And I think something might have fallen through. Like they were supposed to be made and they didn't. And now that this Quest of Yore game is coming out, I cannot wait to get like my geek on and play a fantasy role playing game.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited. And then he said that like Louise Smythe and Austin Madison are the ones that are kind of like heading this and like playing it and like
and we had
suggesting
known
things
and we had known from before because Austin Madison had done the crowdfunding. He did a crowdfunding for
Kickstarter?
A Kickstarter. Yes, he did a Kickstarter for his game that he created.
Yeah, it was like a horror.
It was like a like a horror movie like with bears in the woods camping. Yeah, it was Camp something. Yes. Yeah. But yeah, so he had already been used to making games and knew the fantasy elements. And Louise Smythe, she's been posting so many cool videos and pictures of her like as a kid, like saying like, you know,
like honestly, how cool. Like Louise Smythe has like literally she has posted like pictures of her as a child dressed as a wizard.
Yeah.
And like her drawings like like that she made of like unicorns and wizards and just like magic, and that she's just like into that. How amazing is that? Like I want to cry for her.
Yeah.
Like, for her childhood and be like, you did it.
Yeah, you're living your dreams and your passions.
Yes.
So cool.
Yeah. But they're like way into it, and like Dan said, like he saw them playing it. He had no idea what was going on. But he's like, oh, they're having fun. So, you know. Right.
Like they said it was enough that it could be like falling with style. Ratzenberger's second time being a construction worker because he wasn't up as well.
Yeah.
And then also real quick, Alex Delgado mentioned construction worker Fenwick. So thank you. But yeah, so it's so cool that he's writing it down. So cool that like that game is going to exist and it's going to be like, it's like this level stuff. It's like, come on, you want the world. You want the world to be our world.
This book is amazing. This Quest of Yore book.
Okay, if you guys haven't had this yet or taken a read at this is an awesome book as well.
Amazing.
It's literally like the one that Ian is practicing from, but it has like notes that's the only part, like some of it like it's like with Ian and Barley's notes that they like wrote on it. But it's super cool that it goes through and gives you like some of the spells, and it's extra spells. And like they talked about it in some of the behind the scenes stuff, that there were so many more spells than they actually got to use in the film, of course. Mm-hmm. Oh, this scene is reminding me of one of my other favorite parts. It's where they're driving up to the Manticore's Tavern.
Oh, and this is one thing that you were bummed that you didn't get to tell Dan.
Yes, I was bummed I didn't get to tell Dan this because I was blown away. I don't know if this was like just him as a director or if this was somebody else that brought this. Are you thinking it's when they're driving there?
When they're driving, yeah, that seems awesome. Sorry, go ahead.
No, we're good. So actually, that's my like third favorite camera movement is when they're arriving at the Manticore's Tavern, and he's like, "We are here," and it's in the van, looking over. You can still see Ian. It's looking over Barley's shoulder as it's like they're turning around, and you can still see everything out the window. I just love that. But my favorite transition in the entire movie, I just thought it was so seamless, is where they leave the house. They've gotten they have half of Wilden, the dad. They're running out of the house, and as they close, it pans over to the table. You see the Manticore figure.
No, this is when the mom is getting in the car.
Okay, when the mom is getting in the car, it pans over.
She's backing out the driveway, and her headlights go into the window of the Lightfoot's house.
And it's the table set up with the Manticore figure. And it zooms into the Manticore's figure, and that's when her headlights hit it.
The headlights, yeah.
The headlights hit it, and it transitions. It transitions to be Guinevere's headlights in the woods.
The eyes, yeah.
That was so cool.
Yes, and speaking of the woods, when they come upon the Manticore's Tavern, didn't it remind you of like old classic Disney films where it was like, what is it, that plane where the
plane view camera, like where they have like the different...
Yeah, where it kind of like... I don't know, it just reminded me of that. Yeah, like
one is almost stationary, the other one's moving in front of it.
Yeah, it just kind of reminded me of that. Just that scene.
Yeah, I loved so much of the direction and the camera work in this, and I know that's like a teamwork between the camera and staging team, the layout team, and the directing team, and also how they boarded them. Mm-hmm. It all kind of plays together. But man, oh man, I do love the camera movements in this. We already talked about that, like with some of the swooping stuff, but I loved those two moments arriving at the Manticore's Tavern as well. Really cool.
Mm-hmm. Really Do you know what camera work I really like? And it's also an animation and acting part. But when the mom says, "I have a gift from your dad," and Ian's face and the camera work, and then the lighting, like you just like are just like, I felt like I was on a roller coaster, like where your stomach just drops. I felt that for him.
But see, that's where the story is so great too. We've been talking about the whole
score.
And the score, when they show his
drop too.
Yes,
yeah.
But like I love the fact that this is all in service of the end of the story. The fact that it's building to how much he wants to see his dad. And then when he ultimately doesn't, that's where it's like, oh man. Like, but he realizes the power of giving that gift to someone else and how much more it means. But it just sets up the whole time how much he wanted to, like when he's talking to the video cassette at the same time and looking at the pictures, when it like, great editing going to the picture as it's like his dad doing the different things. It's like it's all in service of building that emotion, and that's one of the things. Like I really think this film built emotion.
Yes.
Almost better than any other one.
I agree. And do you know what else I love? Like that ending scene where Ian doesn't get, he doesn't see his dad. He only sees the back of his dad, and that's. He's never seen the back of his dad, though. He's seen the front of him in photos, but he's never seen, like, the back of his head kind of thing.
That's interesting.
I never thought about that.
I thought of that today and when I was seeing the movie, and I'm just like, oh, man. But when, like, he said, like, go say goodbye. You need to say goodbye to Barley and stuff. I'm just like, oh, my gosh. And then, like, he's, like, peeking up, but he doesn't get to see his face, and he's only seen the back of him. And today I was like, well, he's never seen the back of his dad.
Oh, it's still heartbreaking as his feet slip out from under him and he goes back into the...
I know. It is so
sad. You know what, though? It follows... I literally wrote it down. It follows the constant theme of Pixar movies where characters get what they need and not what they necessarily want.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, you think about Carl doesn't get, to go see Paradise Falls and, like, for Ellie, but... he gets Russell in return and becomes sympathetic. This has reminded me a lot of that, how, like, Ian didn't get to see his dad, but he realized what a big aspect his brother is in his life, and
that's what he needed.
And
that's what he needed.
Yeah.
That's a great insight. That's a great insight. You're right. It definitely does follow that trend that's in a couple of them. I mean, it's the same thing with Monsters University. They shouldn't have been handed that, to be able to go through school and do it that way. They needed to do it this way to get where they were.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I will say, and I'm tearing up even just thinking about it. But when Ian is scratching off like his list, when he's like, oh no, and then he got to driving lessons, and then like they go back in time, and he's like realizing, oh, my brother's always been there for me. Like I think about like, because this was based on, the director Dan, like real life and like with his brother. And I'm just like, oh my God, like what, like how special is that like moment right there?
Yeah.
And like, you were always with me and stuff. Like it literally.
Like you mean having the realization of it all?
Yes. That is where I start just losing my
absolutely.
mind. Like just crying because like, I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's so special for him forever. And it's just like, I'm with the characters, but then I'm also thinking like, personally, like, we've met these people. We don't, like, know them, but, like, it's just like, oh, my gosh, I'm so happy that they have this.
Yeah. And you know what? I think that's one of those scenes that even if you don't have siblings, you can connect to. Like, for example, I'm an only child. I actually don't have siblings.
Leo will be an only child.
That's our son.
Yeah, that's our son.
Right. Right, but exactly. But I think there's always going to be, like, I immediately thought of my best friend Emily, or, like, her little brother Nate, like, how they're, like, those people in my life that I can't live without.
Right.
And so I think, like, you watch that scene and your brain automatically thinks of someone that you just can't live without. And that's, like, that you're going to always have that connection with.
Yeah, and Falling with Style says, between MU and Onward, Dan Scanlon really knows how to make an ending with consequences. And yes, he does. He definitely knows how to tug at those heartstrings there a little bit.
That's interesting. Falling with Style also said, I also felt an up parallel in the scene when Ian was going through the to-do list, reminding him of Carl's stuff I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Filled out. When they had, like, the adventure after all. That's an awesome parallel. Thank you. I hadn't thought of that.
Oh, look at this. You gonna make more notes?
Yeah, exactly. I like my pens over here. I'm like,
I know.
I do have another question to ask you guys.
Okay, I'm ready. We're ready.
Okay, so this doesn't necessarily have to do with Onward, but it was...
All right, we gotta go.
Released with Onward.
The Simpsons scene.
Yeah.
The short film.
The short film.
Yes, let's talk about that. So, go for it.
I did not like it.
You didn't like the short?
The short was fine.
Or you didn't like the fact that it was paired with a Simpsons property?
I didn't like that it was paired with a Simpsons property.
Now, why not?
I honestly, I think it's because I'm nostalgic, and if you... I don't know. I just...
Because change is hard?
Change is hard.
Change is hard.
You know what, though? We've seen this before with Coco with the Frozen short of Olaf.
For some reason, sorry to interrupt, but for some reason, that Disney property was less, and that was a half an hour. That was like a short film. Like that was like,
yes, jeez.
But
Cole, by the way, Cole popping in with the purpose, the perfect timing of the comment. Can we talk about the Simpsons short?
Yeah, I just didn't like that it was a Simpson thing because it was Fox. They just bought it. I thought if it was going to be something, it should have been like a Disney animation thing.
Now,
I wonder did Pixar have a say in that, or was that Disney?
Well, I don't know fully. I read an interview with the creators of that short that said that they had created it with a different intent, and then it got open. This opportunity came up, so they were thinking about it. But it's interesting. You're right in that sense, but I'm going to challenge you on one aspect. We went and saw The Muppets, and you didn't have a problem when there was a Pixar short in front of that.
But but Disney has owned The Muppets for a long time. I feel like The Muppets are Disney, though.
I don't.
I feel like it's a little forced. It forced into the company.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I just maybe because I've never been a Simpsons fan.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate because I'm saying those things, but I feel exactly the same way. I didn't love it. I felt like it was like, and the audience liked it.
Yes. Oh,
people laughed.
Yeah.
There didn't seem to be any concern there. But to me, I consider The Simpsons to be a little bit more on the crass side, and I don't think it matches fully with the tone of what Pixar and Disney are trying to do, and that's the only reason I didn't like it as much. Now, this particular short, the tone was totally fine. It matched.
Yeah.
But I have been watching The Simpsons since, 80-something, 90-something. I mean, not all of them. But, I started when it started, right after it got off of the Tracy Ullman show and all that other stuff, and it became into broadcast television. I was watching it. So, yeah, I have a different feeling about it. It takes me to a different place in my mind, in my everything. And yeah, I kind of agree with what Sydney said as far as when you were asking Julie, is it feeling forced? Yeah, it felt a little pushed down my throat, more so than if it was a Pixar or Disney or, like
a Mickey short or something.
They've got the Spark shorts.
That's what I was kind of hoping.
I felt like they could have released that short on Disney Plus and had it been a Disney Plus exclusive.
Right.
As a push for, here's a Simpsons short, Disney Plus.
It could have been, another plug for Disney Plus, too. Watch more of these shorts on Disney Plus.
Yeah. I liked it. I didn't think it fit with the movie at all, to be honest. it was cute, it was funny, but it just didn't feel like something you'd play before a Pixar smash hit.
Yes. Yeah. And that's honestly, that's what like Cole is saying as well. He's saying the exact same thing as far as like, his opinion. It was that everything felt Disney rather than Pixar.
That's fair.
And I think a lot of people are kind of, we got Jade is kind of popping in and saying the same thing. I agree. So she said I agree there.
I mean, I also think part of the reason why they didn't have a Pixar short in front is they're like, that studio's busy this year, man. Like with the Spark shorts and Soul, like they got a lot on their plate. I don't blame them, but I feel like they could have handled it differently. Honestly, I think they could have put a Spark short in there, like an exclusive one from Disney Plus, and said, watch on Disney Plus.
Right. Yeah.
Like I think Float would have worked phenomenally with it.
They could have used that as an opportunity to make a statement, talking about that they're gonna be more inclusive and show more representation.
Yeah. And you know what? March is also Autism Awareness Month, so Float would have fit perfectly. Sorry, Pixar, you could have done that.
You could have done Loop too.
Yeah.
Loop. Yeah. Seriously.
So let's talk about inclusion in the film. So there are a couple elements that we can talk about here. Number one, the first thing that I noticed, even in the trailer, which I thought was super cool, is the arm crutches.
Yep.
Like, yeah, I thought that was like super cool that they had one of the characters that had those. So they had a character that had the full like arm brace. Crutches, the arm crutches that you use. And I thought that was a cool thing to include there. There was also in the Manticore's Tavern, there was somebody eating at one of the tables that was in a wheelchair. Mm-hmm. I thought that was super cool. I
don't know if Ash was in this chat, but she tweeted it.
Yeah, Ashley, because she wears
the hearing aid.
Right. Oh, that's right. There was a character that had that too. Yeah. But obviously the other one that we have to talk about too that's caused the film to get banned in some other countries and other people to have outrage over is the fact that Lena Waithe's character, Officer Spectre, was a character that didn't necessarily directly say they were a lesbian character.
She just spoke of her girlfriend.
But she said, my girlfriend's got me in the same state and all these other things, I get it.
My girlfriend's got me pull my hair out.
Right.
Girlfriend's kids, yeah.
Yeah, like, and that was where Colt was like, yeah, I got it, like they were both, like she was relating with him there and it just was a very natural line. It's interesting. It fit. And I think it's interesting that, there's kind of two sides to this. There's two sides. One, Corey Ray and Dan, like people are like, oh, Disney made a statement about this. There was never an official statement. They're not trying to force anything down anybody's throat. It fit into the film in the same way that girl with the hearing aid, the boy with the crutches.
People.
It's people. It's representation it's representation of society.
Of all people.
Right. So, personal views aside, it's Pixar's most inclusive movie. I think we agree there.
Yeah. And you know what? That scene didn't feel forced whatsoever. Like the context of it. Like, I don't know if you guys saw Beauty and the Beast, the live action one, but there was a scene that felt very forced.
Yes.
And this like didn't feel forced at all. It didn't feel slow either. Like they made a point of it.
Right.
I think it was very well incorporated. I don't think no matter what your views are on it, like that was not a human being, but a character that was very well represented and well represented of what's the word I'm looking for? Not category. The people in that group, in that community.
There
well
you go.
Representative of the community.
So it's interesting that like after Dan and Corey talked about it, Dan had said he wished he had done maybe a little more with the character. But it's interesting that no matter what you do, people are displeased because yes, you've got countries that have banned the movie, you've got countries that have edited the movie, which obviously in my personal view and our personal view, that's silly. With again, it wasn't trying to make a statement. It was just a character. It was a person in the film, and like you said, it was very natural. But you also have people on the side of the LGBTQ community that said it wasn't enough. This is just Disney like throwing something out there to satisfy people, and it wasn't enough either. It's like, no, people, we've got to be happy with what we have in the moment. Now, the other thing we should talk about is these aren't even people. These are animated characters written by people.
And you know what? It's funny, too, because I think people don't realize that directors tell the story that they want to tell. And Dan was literally telling his personal story.
Yeah.
So I don't, like, that wasn't, like, a main pinnacle point of the movie. So I don't know why people would be making a fuss out of it when it wasn't even something that, like, should be a debate anyways. Like, it didn't affect how any of the characters interacted with one another afterward.
Right.
But it literally affected no one. And I think that Dan did a great job of making sure it didn't affect anyone. That's just a thing of life. Like,
right. Yeah, so I just think it was interesting that there was this, if anything, we should be celebrating the inclusion of the fact,
LGBTQ plus community.
No, everybody.
Yeah.
The fact that it did people that have some type of disability, some type of extra ability, some type of just their preferences. Like, it's a movie that is inclusive, and I'm glad that it was that way. Mm-hmm. Yes, Disney, people are mad that Disney hasn't necessarily been as forthright with this, but this is Dan, like you said, it's Dan's story. It is
I think it's coming.
It is a director-driven studio.
I do too.
If you have, of course, it's coming. I mean, I don't mean to. I say it like I'm frustrated. I'm saying, like, of course it's coming, because
I hope it's coming.
It's absolutely.
I agree with that statement for sure.
Especially for kids who, like, young kids. Not yet, like, young, but, like, just kind of figuring out who they are. Wait, where do I fall in line?
Right.
Where do I fit? I don't know. I just think it's important.
Yeah, it was cool because I took a kid I babysit who's 11. I took him to see it, and he mentioned it afterward. He was like, and he's actually a kid I go to church with, which is funny. And so he was like, that was really cool. Like, they had a lot of, like, they really included people in this movie. And I was like, yeah, like, they did. Like, good job for registering that. You're 11 years old. Good job for seeing that and catching that.
Yeah. So, okay, so Pixar Freak is mentioning here as well. So Josh is mentioning that someone I follow posted an Instagram story, and the voice actress was talking about that scene. She was the one who asked to say girlfriend, and then he followed up with, and Pixar, the Onward team, supported it. Obviously, Corey Ray, the producer of the film, is married to Darla Anderson, who was the producer of Coco, many other projects, and has since moved on from the studio and is over at Netflix. But I mean, like, yeah, of course they supported it as well. That's part of the Pixar community. Now, the one thing I thought was really cool, though, is that the line she says at the end of it is, "Hey, it gets better."
Yes.
And that is the line that, like, Pixar jumped on very early on, years ago. What was it, 2012, 2013? That they were doing internally in the studio the It Gets Better series of videos. So I thought that was cool that they threw in the, hey, it gets better. Like, I thought that was cool too.
Yeah.
Like, but again, we're talking about this from our perspective. Obviously, it is something that is personal to other people in other directions. That's just our personal opinion on it. But I think that I was pleased to see any amount of extra representation, because it felt more like real life.
Yes.
When we're out at restaurants and you see people that, need special access and all these other things, it's just, it felt more real to me, and I appreciated it. It didn't feel forced.
I agree.
All right. Can I give my final thoughts on the movie?
Yes, because we are at an hour and a half and we need to.
Yeah. I would say there's two more things I want to talk about, but one of them is my final thoughts.
Yes.
So I wrote down, I said, Onward shows compassion through a hilarious, emotion-packed, eye-catching quest about personal growth. And then I said, as Pixar's latest original story since Coco, I am overjoyed with this film.
Look at this. It's like an official... It's like your Rotten Tomatoes headline right there.
Right, exactly.
Wait, what was the part you said about the visual aspect of it?
I said, Onward shows compassion through a hilarious, emotion-packed, eye-catching quest about personal growth.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the movie in one line right there.
It is.
Yep.
Yeah. I didn't write it as succinctly as that, but mine was really, like... To me, it was all about my one-liner would be, it's about saying and caring for who you need to say what you need to say now
to those
that are here. Yes, still respect and talk to, like Coco talks about, the people that have passed, but this is about the people that are still here with you, and what does that mean? Mm-hmm. And, so yeah, I mean, Coco helped me with my mother who passed away. I have said a bajillion times how I couldn't have done it without you had that loss happen without you. And, we'll say it on here again. Couldn't have done it without you. And, that's what I'm going to take away from this movie, is thanking everybody that needs to be thanked for being there for you, that helping you grow and continue on your path when you could have gotten distracted.
Mm-hmm.
This is definitely a movie you should see with loved ones, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I felt for sure when I took my best friend's little brother and the kid I babysit, and then my best friend's parents, when I took them, that was probably my most enjoyable time seeing it, because I was like, these are people I can't live without.
Right.
And like them seeing it with me, that just like my whole heart, I cried.
Yeah. Yeah, so our buddy Mark is in here real quick. Oh. He just said, let's talk about the crew gift. We talked about it, Mark. Sorry. You missed it.
Scroll back a little bit.
But they are awesome.
Yes, they
are. Especially since
awesome.
I exclusively only wear Converse. I was very, very envious.
Yeah, I know. They're really good. What were your final thoughts on the movie?
Besides my heels.
Yeah, what are your favorite thoughts? What are your final thoughts on the film? What do you think about it, like, overall? Doesn't have to be necessarily like a sentence or anything.
Yeah.
Honestly, the one thing I take from this film is that this storyline, I think, is one of the most solid Pixar storylines. Nothing skips a beat. It literally lays out the entire story and flows. Like, nothing seems like it's rushed. Nothing seems like it misses a beat. Like, everything, like... Well, I will say, it's succinct, it's perfect.
It's in terms of, like, Pixar films, a lot of them are getting closer to that an hour and 45 or 2 hour time frame, whereas they used to always be the standard, like, 90 minutes.
Was this, like, 146, 148 or something?
Yeah, it's right around that time frame. I will say our son says it's a little long to him. Like, he's like, it's getting long. Like, he's like, it's such a long movie. He likes it, but he feels that it's longer. So in terms of, like, like we said, as adults, we might be viewing it differently of, just the how it progresses. Mm-hmm. He's maybe not resonating with as many of those heavier scenes. So it's maybe slowing down for him in those moments as a 6-year-old, you know,
he just turned 6.
Yeah. But I agree in terms of the story. Like, you talked about this part of the story, too, that was really, like, a seamless thing. They turned the gag of the splinter into Ian getting it. Now, I did say I felt like it was a little convenient that it turned into that. But I think it's... Because I felt like... I'm like, why is this joke coming up so much? Like, because
it didn't.
Well, so the first time Barley gets it, they're doing it so that way that the staff can give a splinter. Mm-hmm. Then the next time Ian does it, it's like... You can't
send it down.
Right, so now it's like another one. And I was like, oh, okay, so like the first time I saw it, I'm like, wow, they're really doing a callback to that little gag. I got it at the end. But then I was like, oh, crap, that's so cool that he's like digs it out. And he's like, with every fiber, like he remembers what Barley said. They can then Magnoraganchuan and makes it big and is able to then complete, his spells and everything. And I love how at the end when he puts the school back together with magic, he's got that one up on the blackboard with him. Yeah. Like, it's the new one now. It's not the one his dad gave him. It's like he made it his own, but it's part of his dad.
Well, it's just so much was like just answered. It's like, the tavern where when the Manticore like tears apart the tavern and you see like the drywall fall and that it's
the brick beneath it. Yeah.
It's like, okay, so when we see that the tavern's been rebuilt,
right,
it's kind of brick again. I don't know. I loved it. I said I had that one where Colt's face, like his facial expressions, I would have changed that one thing. But other than that, I thought it was absolutely spot on.
Yeah.
Story is awesome.
Yep.
Loved it.
All right, what was your other thought that you had? Because you said you had two more, and that was one of them was your final thought.
Yep, so my one other thought I had is the box office, how it's done in the box office this opening weekend. Because obviously there's some things going on in the world that are making it hard for moviegoers to feel like they should go to the movies.
Yeah,
so,
it's actually being talked about in the chat as well. People are talking about the coronavirus,
I just got an email from my professor that said classes are going to be canceled from here on forth. Sounds like I'm going home this weekend.
There's 45. As of this afternoon, there was 45 colleges and universities which have canceled classes in the ongoing. I mean, in big schools, Harvard and other. Yeah.
So I go to Michigan State, so it's a Big Ten school.
Yeah.
Go Green. But all of my classes have basically transformed into online now. Right. So there are some confirmed cases in Michigan now as of 20 minutes ago, according to my mom. But so I know it's definitely a thing. But Onward came out with 68,000 globally.
68 million. Yeah.
Or million. Yeah.
It was a horrible release. Yeah.
Yeah, 1,000 exclusively. No, yeah, million. And took #1 spot at the box office.
Yes, so it's super cool that it got the global #1 as well as domestically the #1 spot with 40 million domestically. It was estimated for 44, so it was cool that it was within the realm. Yeah, the cat, she likes to just she's gonna play with me, but yeah. So it's a bummer though, and we've said this a bunch. We feel so bad that this crew worked on this film for so long, for 6 years, and you just have now, right when I'm going to release the film, it's like hitting
coronavirus.
It's hitting like this market. It's so unfortunate, and our hearts go out to the crew. We're going to see it as many times as we can to continue to support it.
We'll see it again this weekend. I mean, today was election day. So Leo and I voted, and then we're like, let's go see Onward.
For the primaries. Yeah. And it's just like, I feel so bad, though. It's just unfortunate that, this had to be, because now it's going to be one of these things where, did audiences not want to go, or was it because of this? We know it's because of that. Other people, I've seen articles that said it had no factor whatsoever. It was going to be a soft weekend because of the movies. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Honestly, people... our social media and stuff, people were saying, I'm not going coronavirus yet. I'll wait. Right. Disney Plus. It'll be out.
It's sad too, because I saw an article that said it's doing similar numbers to The Good Dinosaur. And this is just me being partial, because I love The Good Dinosaur. It just wasn't my favorite.
Right.
I was like, you can't compare it yet. It's literally like, it's not even a day old. Like,
correct.
24 hours afterward. I was like, that's just a sad article to write.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that people are going to try to make that comparison when, in terms of market research and studies, people should know better than that, because the factors are totally different. Therefore, you can't apply the same rules.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It just doesn't work that way.
It's also an interesting point to bring up, because seeing it in theaters, Soul is a preview for it, and they've taken off all the dates on it, and it just says coming soon. And actually, the one I went and saw on Saturday said next year. They changed it. And I haven't seen any articles that say, Soul's coming out next year, in terms of, I haven't seen any change.
Where did you see that?
Imagine. One of the trailers now says next year instead of this summer.
Really?
Which I was like, oh.
I didn't pay attention to mine.
So wait a
today.
minute. In the actual trailer itself, at the end of it, it was replaced saying 2021.
So actually, no, it didn't say 2021. It just said next year. And then, and that was even before it said coming soon. So it said next year, and then it said coming soon. So I'm hoping it was a 2019 trademark, and they're just pulling it over.
Okay, so when we go see it again, we're gonna talk about we're gonna pay attention to the final copyright on
because
that
I know
trailer.
the My Spy didn't have a date. It just said coming soon now.
Yep. And again, it's a discussion about No Time to Die, the new.
The Bond film?
The Bond.
Yeah.
That's been pushed to November.
Right, there's a whole bunch.
And Trolls had a date, though. Trolls was April 17th or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
That one had a date.
The other one was Peter Rabbit 2.
That
one's getting pushed.
Yep, Slay the Dragon. They are moving that one to select theaters at a later date and video on demand at home. So that was interesting that they're going to take that opportunity to do some of that too. But yeah, it's just so unfortunate that it's happening right now, but it's the world that we're in. Mm-hmm. These things happen. So we need to continue to do what we can to support it, as long as we're supporting it in a safe way, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah. Right, exactly.
And then when it comes out on Blu-ray, buy it, because then you'll get all the awesome special features and you'll be able to experience it in the truest form of 4K.
Yes.
We need that.
Yes.
Also, for those of you who are in the comments, I work for a movie theater, and I promise you, we take very serious precautions about this, and every theater is spick and span.
Well, you can't say every theater, but your theater.
Yeah.
Well, this is true. This is true. If you go to Imagine, and yes.
Yes, there you go. Okay, so Scott is chiming in, and he is saying that it said, now obviously we haven't validated it or anything, but that would make sense, because those things are placed so long before. It said next year because the trailer was made in 2019. So let's hope that is still the case.
Yeah.
I would suspect that if something like that happened, the first announcement probably wouldn't be the theater. We would probably get a press release about that. Yep. That would be like, all right, like it's moving, and that would be a big deal. But you never know. It still could. They could very easily move this to November.
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, I would not put that outside of the realm of possibility. I'm not saying I've even heard anything, but I wouldn't put it outside the realm of possibilities.
Yeah.
So you never know. I mean, June
is Thanksgiving.
June is going to be here before we know it. I don't think they're going to need to as a June release. Hopefully things start to slow down.
It's like 3.5 months away.
But you never know. You never know.
It's exciting too. After every Pixar release, I go back and I watch every single movie and I rank them, which is painful to do, but I do it. And I get to do that twice this year.
Nice.
So,
yeah. Oh, you get to do it twice this year. Couldn't you do it in like May and then call it good that you've seen them like in between?
Yeah, but that takes the fun out of it.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, so I just watched Cars 2 yesterday, and then I watched Toy Story 2 today. And I have a very bold statement. Cars 2 is not remotely my least favorite Pixar movie anymore.
Really? It was your least favorite before?
It was my least favorite for a hot minute.
Okay,
and it is no longer.
So what moved into your spot?
My least favorite spot?
Yeah. Brave?
Finding Dory.
Finding Dory. Oh. And you okay, but see, now there's another element there's another element to factor in here too, which is how much you love Finding Nemo.
Yes.
To counter Finding Dory.
It's hilarious too, because growing up, I mentioned that to you. Finding Nemo and Cars were on 24/7, and I mean, you got to think about it. I was 2 when Nemo was released.
Oh my goodness!
Oh man. When was Nemo released?
2003.
Oh man, I was 21.
2003. Yeah, so I was 2, and also I'm my parents' only baby, and not by choice. So they really connected to Nemo as well.
Right. Right.
And so that was like a family movie.
Right.
Uh-oh, Luxo's going after the light.
She's going after the light again. Sorry.
Yeah.
So also in the chat, Ian Lightfoot as Onward. We're moving on from coronavirus now. So, but yes. And Scott's saying he needs our ranking of Pixar films.
Yeah, for sure. But that is a conversation we should have sometime. You should definitely do it.
Well, so we wanted to do a whole big thing with Dan and Giovanni, and we'll incorporate you as well. But yeah, we wanted to like whiteboard it all out and like all put up ours. But it's so hard because yes, you say you rewatch them every time and they shift a little bit. I feel like mine shifts by the month.
Yeah, my top one, up until Incredibles 2 came out, shifted all of the time. Yeah.
Like, I mean, the core group is pretty much there, and they move in groups. So Jonathan Pauly, who's part of the JP and Beyond channel that also did the first live-action Toy Story with, like, the stop motion, he talked about the fact that you put them in like a pyramid, and that works out really well.
Oh, okay.
Because you can put like your group of least favorite, you're thinning it out a little bit for your next tier, and then your top tier is like your top 3, and then you don't have to fully decide who's the top. They're just in that top cube,
I think
like the old food pyramid before it was a plate.
I think I could safely say I have a top 5. But without ranking what's first.
Yeah, I could do a top 5 easy. Now it gets hard with some of the franchises though, because like Toy Story 1 through 3 are so good. Like I don't want to do I want to take up 5 spots of the top 5 or the top 3 of the top spots with like Toy Story? Like
I clearly don't do that with Nemo and Dory. That's
true. But how do you? Well, this is a whole separate conversation. We'll have to do this. Yeah. We're gearing up for it. So Scott, yes, it's coming soon.
He put his top 5 in.
Oh, Scott did.
So he did what you did about the franchise.
Yeah,
he said Toy Story 2, Toy Story 3, Inside Out, and Finding Nemo. Interesting. Are those in order? As in like favorite to least favorite?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I think I've got a franchise in mind.
You have one of them or like both?
Monsters U.
Are okay.
Coco, Ratatouille, Onward.
Oof.
That would be mine. I can safely say that's mine.
Oh, I can't say. Oh man. I was trying to piece together my top 5 and make it work. Incredibles 2 sits at my number 1 spot.
Incredibles 2?
Yes.
Wow. Okay, all right.
I like Incredibles 2, but I can't rewatch that one a lot.
Oh, wow, interesting. I could watch that over and over.
I love it.
That's how I feel like Onward's going to be for me, but that is definitely how Monsters University is probably my most watched Pixar film.
Most watched, I agree. That's the one.
Okay.
Ratatouille is my most watched.
But MU is probably my most watched because that is such a fun movie that I can have it on the back. It's just silly and that's what I like about it.
And then I don't have an order for the rest of my 4, so Incredibles 2 sits at the top. I'll have to order them, but in my top 5 includes Cars, The Incredibles, the first one, and then Toy Story and Onward.
Toy Story and Onward's in your top 5?
Yes.
Love it. Okay, look at that. That's great.
No Nemo?
Nemo's not my top 5.
Okay.
I think
it started it all.
I know, it's funny that I say that too. I think I just watched it so many times when I was little that now I can just quote it by heart.
Right.
And there's something about the ability that I can't quote everything, all the other ones by heart yet.
Right.
That I just don't watch it as much. I still love it, and I love my dad and I really connect to that one. And my dad is my best friend in the whole world, so I love watching it with him. I think if I were to watch it tomorrow with him, I'd be number 1. But in a general perspective, if someone were to ask me, it's not in my top 5 anymore. Cars is still though.
Interesting. Yeah, they all move around for me. I'm gonna have to really think about this again because, like I said, it changes what I feel like
changes a lot
from day to day. Because I think about it from the art of books. I get so into the camera work. If you're talking about best camera work, it's WALL-E. No questions.
Yes.
Oh,
don't ever question it. Anybody on this chat either. WALL-E is the best camera work.
Is that okay? I have to ask. Is that your signed Monsters U art of book from Giovanni?
No.
Okay,
that one's over here.
I was that is a pitiful thing to just be using as a stand.
No.
Yeah, we don't care. We put it under the mic. No. We've got 100 of these things.
That's Luxo's play toy.
Yeah. This is now the extra one.
Yeah, this is just a regular version.
Interestingly enough, we have a signed Monsters Inc. one and a signed Monsters U one now.
We do.
The monsters are signed. I love
it.
Who
do you have signed on the first one?
Oh, these are sidebar conversations.
It's true.
I'm
sorry.
That's fine. That one is signed by Pete Docter, John Lasseter, and Andrew Stanton.
Ooh.
That was
that
was back in the day. That was
a long time ago.
That was the heavy hitter one. That was
in 2008.
Yeah, that was 2008. There's a signed Andrew Stanton framed thing up on the wall over here too.
That's awesome. I have 3 of the Piper shorts from I'm gonna mess up his last name. Barillero,
Barillero,
yeah. So I have 3 of those that are signed that I got the day I was at the studio, and they're framed in my house.
Oh, awesome.
That's awesome. That is my favorite short.
Me too.
Uh-huh. Virtual bump.
Virtual bump.
High five.
Yeah, so favorite short, I've never questioned it. It's never wavered. It's Presto.
For him.
Oh, yeah.
Hilarious.
Since the day we saw it.
Yeah. And by the way, Scott Sullivan nailed it on the head. Roger Deakins, Wally, that's why.
Yeah.
Oh.
You're right.
Yeah, I can't even tell you how many times he's watched that behind the scenes with Roger Deakins.
Yes, the Wally DVD is amazing. Now, okay, I'm going to go off on a total another tangent here. That is why I need Pixar to do one thing for me. And that is to do the Blu-ray behind the scenes like they used to. They are still great, but they used to be mind-blowing. Like, there would be so much that they put into it between the director's commentary tracks and all of those. Like, that, honestly, the Wall-E one ruined me because that whole thing with, like, going behind the scenes of Roger Deakins and Ben Burt creating the sound for it and everything. That DVD also contained the Pixar Story documentary that Leslie Iwerks did. Mm-hmm. I mean, that is, like, the greatest package to put everything together. And I need Onward to really be a lot. It's probably already done. It's probably already filmed it in the can, ready to go.
Right.
I mean, Pixar freak, preach.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the last time that I felt that, I think Bao was a great short. I don't think it compares to, like, For the Birds. In my opinion, I love that one.
Two different angles. One is like the fairy tale and like more serious life adventure. For the Birds is just, that's my second favorite. It's like the silly.
Yeah. Well, because you love Ralph.
And Ralph Eggleston's amazing too. Yeah.
Love Bao though, and I love what they did with that. But I love in the DVD for Incredibles 2 that they include the short about Jack Spends the Night at Edna's.
Oh,
that is
Auntie Edna.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Auntie Edna. Hilarious.
Yes.
I mean, if that hadn't been a critical part of the movie, you could have done that as a short for an entirely different movie and called it good. Like. Right. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm curious to see what Onward includes.
I know. All right, so I think we've hit our wall, right? We're at an hour and 51 minutes, and thank you so much for everybody that's still hanging out there and listening and watching this. And Ian Lightfoot from Onward, take it easy.
Okay, are you okay?
I know.
Alive. Emojis. Easy killer.
Yeah. So, anyways, thank you again to everybody that hung out and watched along with this. You need to go get yourself this book to learn about more of the spells that were created for the film. You need to get yourself some of the Wilden socks because these are so stinking cool.
I need those. I'm gonna ask for those for like my birthday or something. Those are too cool. Not to own.
Yes, and go see Onward again as long as it's safe. And get out there and support it. And if you see Easter eggs along the way, if you have other thoughts about the film along the way that you want to share with us as well, you can always head to forum.pixarpost.com or just go to pixarpost.com and click on the forum button. You can sign up there and share your thoughts openly there. You can share screenshots. But yeah, if you see extra Easter eggs, we're going to try to compile as many of them as we can in there. Thank you again to everybody for hanging on. I see Paulina saying lots of fun. Thank you.
Thank you guys for having me.
Of course.
Absolutely. Like I said, we were thrilled to be able to meet you in person finally and be able to chat. Bobby says thank you for the great conversation.
Okay.
So that's super cool. And then we've got, gosh, I can't believe all these people that hung out with us for like 2 hours while we went off on complete tangents. And great chat, Pixar super fans. So thanks, Laura, for all the love as well. All these great folks that are out here. Aiden, man, I think Aiden, by the way, has been like since like day one, like following us along.
I've definitely seen him in the chats before.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So, anyways, thanks again, everybody, for hanging on. We'll see more from Sydney in the future. We'll talk to everybody in the future. Let us know what other things you catch in Onward in your multiple screenings. But, of course, in the meantime, be sure to stay tuned to PixarPost.com all week for the latest Pixar news.
Bye.
Bye-bye. And now I gotta figure out how to finish it. It's over here.
Oh man.
Bye.